on, everybody? It's Aurora coming at you with a brand new video, and last night we got a few new things revealed for Legacy of Destruction out of the Jump Festa live stream that I didn't manage to catch because I was dead asleep. And this is actually the second video in the two that I am making covering these things. The first video covered the Ancient Gear support, which should go up at the same time as this video, so be sure to check that out if you haven't already. I really enjoyed covering those cards. But now we're going to be looking at the one that everyone is hyping up, that being the Lightsworn support. Everyone's saying that these cards are like actually super absurd and that they're gonna make Lightsworn really good again. They're showing off like combos and stuff like that. So I want to see what all of the fuss is about. So I'm not gonna waste any more time. Let's go ahead and dive right into this. So starting off, we have Dragon of Lightsworn. That is so cute. It is a level 4 light dragon with 1500 attack and 1300 defense, and you can only use each effect of this card's name once per turn. If you have a Lightsworn in your grave, you can special this card from your hand. If it's special summoned, you can send one Lightsworn card from your deck to the graveyard except Dragon of Lightsworn. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add one dragon monster with 3000 attack and 2600 defense from your deck to your hand. Holy shit. Okay, so starting off, we just have an absolutely insane piece of support here. So it's a free level 4 light body that you can just have hit the board. It's also a dragon, by the way, so that's pretty cool. That you can just get on board by just having a Lightsworn in your grave, which is like the whole point of the deck. On summon, it dumps any Lightsworn card you want from the deck, which removes all of the RNG from the Lightsworn stuff. So you can dump things like Wolf, you can dump things like... what are other good targets than Wolf? Jokes aside, you can also dump things like Felis, which can immediately get you a Synchro Summon, and then probably whatever else comes from this wave of support, probably have really good graveyard effects. But then if it's sent to the grave period, that includes being milled or being used as material for something, etc, etc, you can add basically either Judgment Dragon or Punishment Dragon from deck to hand. Those are the only two main deck dragons with that stat line, so that seems pretty damn nuts, not gonna lie. Next up, we have Weiss, Lightsworn Archfiend. This is the one that everyone says is snow, like, art, whatever, a Dark World. I don't know from seeing the artwork. I don't really think that's like a super big comparison, but I don't know, maybe that's just me. It is a level 4 Light Fiend Tuner. Okay, it is a Fiend, so that does give it something. With 0 attack and 700 defense, and you can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. Okay, apparently the stats are actually reversed of Snow, which is pretty cool. It says you can place one other Lightsworn card from your hand on the top of the deck, just special summon this card from your hand, then send the top 2 cards of your deck to your graveyard. If this card is sent from the deck to the graveyard, you can target one Lightsworn monster in your grave except Weiss, and special summon it. Okay, so it looks like Weiss was one of the original name things, but then Weiss is like a different thing, so same card, same card. So this is pretty funny because it's very clearly intended to fix things like top decking Wolf or Felis, but especially Wolf, because you can't do anything with a Wolf in the hand. So you can put the Wolf back on top, special the Weiss, and then mill the Wolf immediately. I think that's really, really powerful. Not to mention that gives you instant access to things like Manura, and it mills another card, so you don't just hit the Wolf, you also hit other things. And then the second effect, if it's milled, getting any Lightsworn from your grave is also pretty damn solid, because you can get access to your Synchro plays, Link plays, Xyz plays, etc. Not gonna lie, like, even without like all the Ishizu cards and stuff like that, but like even without these new support cards, Lightsworn was already like a pretty solid deck. Kind of Chaos Ruler carried it a little bit, but now it's not really as like big of a deal because we're getting all these powerful support cards. Like Lightsworn was a really fun way to play a combo deck that was kind of like Dragon Link, but not. But you also got to end on things like Archlord Christia. It was super nuts. Moving on to the extra deck cards, we have Enlightenment Dragon, which is a fusion, so now I have Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, and Link, which is pretty funny. It is a level 10 Light Dragon effect monster with 3000 attack and defense. It requires Judgment Dragon and Punishment Dragon, and must be special summoned by banishing the above cards from your field and graveyard, one from each. Once per turn, quick effect, you can pay 2000 life points to banish all other cards on the field and in the graveyards. Once per turn during the end phase, send the top 4 cards of your deck to the graveyard. This is a mandatory. And if this card is destroyed by your opponent, you can add one each of your banished Judgment and Punishment Dragons to your hand, then you can special summon both, ignoring their summoning conditions. Not gonna lie, I don't know how worth it this card is. Like, let's be real, having to play the Judgment Dragon and the Punishment Dragon, not for targets to be searched, but just to make a fusion monster that has an effect that's like similar already, but just seems kind of like overkill for no reason, that also gets rid of your resources. It doesn't really feel like it's very great. Plus, it has to be destroyed by your opponent specifically just to get back your dragons, which I mean, like, it does special them, which is cool, I guess, but probably not that amazing. I mean, you do get to punch for 3k at least if you use the first effect, but To be fair, how often is this first effect even gonna go off? Like, how often is your opponent gonna let that happen? Personally, don't really find this card very great. Seems very, like, really stupid to me. And their new synchro is Minerva, Lightsworn, Athena, so we get to see Minerva come back yet again as a level 8 light fairy synchro with 20 attack and 18 defense, and she requires 1 tuner and 1 or more non-tuner monsters, and you can only use her first and third effects once per turn. On Synchro Summon, you can send Lightsworn monsters with different types from your deck to the graveyard up to the number of Lightsworn monsters used as material for this card's summon, so most likely 2. Lightsworn monsters you control cannot be banished by card effects. Okay, so you're supposed to use that along with the Enlightenment Dragon, I guess. Big whoop-de-doo. And then you can banish up to 4 Lightsworn monsters from your graveyard, send that many cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard. See, I feel like this is a much more efficient way of banishing your graveyard resources to get more advantage, because this just banishes it, period, just because why not? But this banishes it to actually continue your plays. Like, you can banish dead wolves and Felices and stuff like that to just dump more stuff and then maybe more wolves, more Felices, more stuff like that. I do think that you're supposed to just use this with the Enlightenment Dragon for the second effect so that you don't banish your stuff and you can, like, go for the OTK, but again, that feels like massive overkill, especially when you can already do so many crazy combo extra deck toolbox things with Lightsworn. The first effect is pretty solid, though, because it basically just replaces Curious for the deck, alongside the little dragon in the main deck also does that, but it basically replaces Curious to where you don't have to use it to dump specific things. You can just use the Minerva, which I think is really cool. Plus, you're just getting basically a guaranteed 2 free bodies on board that you can use to make the other Minerva, maybe, or other things like that. I really actually enjoy this card. It kind of just replaces Chaos Ruler for the deck now that I think about it. And finally, we have Lightsworn Aegis. It is a normal trap card that says you can only use each effect of this card's name once per turn. Target face-up cards your opponent controls up to the number of Lightsworn monsters you control, negate their effects until the end of this turn, and if this card is sent from the deck to the graveyard, you can set it. Actually a pretty solid card, not gonna lie. Even like the extra deck toolbox Dragon Link-ish kind of variant, like the Chaos build, I'd probably consider this card because you don't always end on Lightsworn stuff, but you can absolutely end on things like the like the Minerva to protect your stuff, and you can also even end on the other Minerva if you really want to. But I really just like that it's one of those traps that you can just set from your graveyard to your side of the field, if it's just sent, which is just better than all of the other Lightsworn traps that do that. Like, there's like, what, at least one. I know there's at least one. Okay, actually, I'm wrong. I thought Lightsworn Judgment did that, but no, Lightsworn Judgment on activation puts it on top of the deck. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, though you're probably not ending on too many Lightsworn monsters as a whole, it's actually isn't a bad card. So what do I think about this Lightsworn support? Main deck monsters, absolutely cracked. Dragon of Lightsworn is one of the most absurd support cards I've ever seen. Weiss is also really solid. It fixes your bad hands, puts things like Wolf back on top, and immediately triggers it so you can go for a Synchro play or for a Xyz play with a Minerva. Enlightenment Dragon is funny, but I don't really think it's going to be a main part of any Lightsworn playstyle unless you're playing like Pure for some reason. Minerva is so good because this basically just replaces Chaos Ruler, like I said, which the deck did really want Chaos Ruler that badly. And then Lightsworn Aegis isn't like the most amazing card because there's not many Lightsworn end pieces you really want to end on, but I think it is pretty solid and maybe a one-of wouldn't even hurt. I think it is cool that Lightsworn did get support after all this time, even if it is like a lore archetype, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure it has lore with like something in particular, so it is interesting for it to get support. And I'm actually wondering if we will see Lightsworn at any top tables, because like I said, Lightsworn is literally just a pile deck right now. You can play the Ishizu cards if you want and stuff like that, but you mostly just utilize it with cards like Chaos Space and like other Dragon Link cards, and you play the Lightsworn stuff to just facilitate things as like extra Chaos Rulers. You can go for any Xyz, Link, Synchro, whatever plays that you want, and it just kind of just does whatever it really wants. It just kind of vomits out extra deck things, and like I said, Christia is definitely a card. So yeah, I'm actually wondering if we'll see this deck at any top tables. I think we might actually see it get a couple of tops here and there at big events, but I don't know, that's just my opinion. Let me throw some in the comments below, because that's going to do it for the video. If you liked it, please sure to leave a like, as well as put this video and the channel into your recommended. And if this content or somewhere like it, like the rest of my review series, remember to check out the Ancient Gear one if you haven't already. Then perhaps consider subscribing and turning on notifications, because it supports the channel or anything else, and it's absolutely free. Also, you want to support me directly while getting some awesome TCG merchandise in the process, check out Tapio cards down below, use code Aurora5 for 5% off your purchase at checkout, and support me financially. Once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. This is Aurora, signing off.